All right, let's dive right in, shall we? Today, we're tackling a fascinating chapter of the Quran.
Oh, absolutely.
It's called Al-Imran,
Yes, Al-Imran.
which translates to the family of Imran.
Yeah.
Now, this chapter,
It's a big one?
oh, it's massive, right?
Yeah.
Covers so much ground. We're talking about
So much.
faith, action, prophets,
All of it.
even a historical battle with some, surprisingly relevant lessons for us today.
Absolutely, yeah.
But one of the things that really caught my eye is actually this section addressed directly to Christians,
Oh, yeah.
which I think offers a really unique perspective on interfaith dialogue, especially in today's world.
Right, it's really interesting.
So, okay, let's start with this idea of faith in action,
Right.
Because I think a lot of us, we have beliefs, but it's actually what we do with those beliefs that really matters.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Like Al-Imran really emphasizes that it's not enough to just believe. You have to actually live it out.
Right.
Like in verse 104, for example, it talks about a group of people who will be witnesses over mankind
Hmm.
and advocating for what's right and forbidding what's wrong.
Right.
And that active role, that courage to stand up for your beliefs.
That's where it gets real.
That's where faith comes alive.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it really is that your belief is only as strong as like what you're actually willing to do about it.
Right.
And, speaking of powerful figures,
Yeah.
I was really struck by the way Al-Imran brings in all these different prophets.
Yeah.
And not just, from Islam. We're talking Moses. We're talking Jesus.
Yeah. It's like a whole.
It's like this big reunion.
a whole gathering.
Yeah, of spiritual guys throughout
Oh,
history.
exactly. Yeah.
So what do you make of that?
Well, I think, it's really emphasizing that all these prophets, despite being separated by time and tradition, they're all united in their core message, right? To guide humanity towards truth and righteousness.
Right. It's like they're all part of
This continuous chain.
this continuous chain.
Yeah. Building on each other's teachings.
It's like a relay race.
Yeah, exactly.
Passing the torch.
Passing the torch, exactly.
And that really hits home for me, because it means that even though these prophets lived centuries ago, their message is still relevant today.
Absolutely.
And like they were speaking to their own time.
Yeah.
But they were also laying the groundwork for this kind of universal understanding.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And, speaking of powerful women,
Yes.
Al-Imran dives into the story of Mary,
Oh, yeah.
the mother of Jesus,
Yeah.
which obviously she's a revered figure in Christianity as well.
Of course, yeah.
But Al-Imran really goes into detail about her piety, her strength,
Yeah, it really highlights her character.
her struggles.
Voraciousness, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're seeing a different facet of someone we thought we knew,
Absolutely, yeah.
adding this whole other
Wow.
layer to the story.
Yeah, and it's not just the prophets, right? Al-Imran also talks about historical events like the Battle of Uhud,
Oh, right.
which is really, captivating in its detail.
I love those historical accounts.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that particular battle, though? Like, what are we meant to take away from that?
Well, the Battle of Uhud, it's a story of both triumph and tribulation, right? It highlights the strategic brilliance of the Prophet Muhammad, but it also reveals the consequences of disobeying his commands, right? So there were some Muslim archers who abandoned their posts
Wow.
against orders, thinking victory was already secured.
Oh, wow.
And that lapse in discipline, almost cost them the battle.
So it's kind of a cautionary tale
It's a cautionary tale, yeah.
about getting overconfident.
Exactly right. Even in moments of success,
Right.
you got to maintain vigilance.
All the guidance.
Follow the guidance, yeah.
Wow. That's a really powerful message. Okay, so then there's this whole section addressed to Christians, which I have to say I was really intrigued by.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right?
Because it doesn't feel like a critique of Christianity.
No, it's not.
It feels more like an invitation to understand Islam's perspective on things.
Right, on Jesus, his message, the concept of monotheism.
Exactly.
And it even acknowledges the shared reverence for figures like Abraham.
Yeah, it's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, so much of the interfaith dialogue today feels so polarized.
Very much so, yeah.
Right. It's like people are just trying to prove each other wrong.
Yeah.
But this feels different.
It's a different approach.
It's like, let's find some common ground.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, okay, we can't talk about Islam without talking about prayer.
Absolutely not.
And Al-Imran introduces this concept of dua.
Yeah.
So what exactly is that?
Well, dua, it's more than just a ritualistic prayer. It's about directly connecting with Allah. It's a conversation, A plea, a moment of vulnerability where you lay bare your heart and seek guidance.
I always find that the most powerful prayers are the ones where you're just real,
Yeah, absolutely.
where you're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
You're just laying it all out there.
Acknowledging your humanness
Yeah,
and your need for something greater.
exactly, exactly.
And speaking of something greater, Al-Imran also discusses the day of judgment.
Oh, right.
This idea that this life is a journey, a test even,
Yeah,
and our actions have consequences that extend beyond this world.
that's definitely some food for thought.
Yeah,
Makes you kind of take stock of your life,
absolutely.
the choices you make,
Your impact.
the impact you have.
Yeah.
And then Al-Imran wraps up with this powerful call for unity among Muslims.
It does, yeah, very strongly.
It warns against division and a discord, emphasizing that strength comes from togetherness,
Especially in the face of adversity.
especially in the face of adversity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a message that resonates so strongly today.
Hmm.
And not just within the Muslim community.
Absolutely.
It's like the world at large.
Yeah, it's so fragmented.
Right. So fragmented.
We need to remember our differences don't have to define us.
Yeah, we can build bridges.
Build bridges, yeah.
So, wow, this deep dive has been really eye-opening for me.
It's an amazing chapter.
What really stood out to me was how Al-Imran weaves together these historical narratives, spiritual teachings, even social commentary.
It does, yeah.
It's not just a religious text, it's a guide for living a meaningful life.
It is, yeah.
What about you? What really resonated with you?
I think the emphasis on personal responsibility and this interconnectedness of all things, it encourages us to look beyond ourselves, to consider the impact of our choices,
Yeah.
and to strive for a world where justice, compassion, and unity prevail.
That's beautiful.
And it leaves me wondering, how can we, in our own unique ways, contribute to that vision?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's something to ponder,
Yeah, definitely something to think about.
long after this deep dive is over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.